What's up, everybody? It is Tuesday, and I made it till Tuesday. That is saying something. This week's been crazy. We're not doing what I said we were going to do, for starters, because, well, I haven't got to it. Not even close. But I have got to a lot of other things and made some very good progress. So what I'm going to do is give you kind of an update, progress report on all the various projects that are underway, get you caught up on what's happening, and maybe answer some questions if you give me money, or if you don't give me money. Yeah, I'm going to be asking for money tonight. That's part of the whole build thing, but we'll get to that. That's something for you to look forward to. All right, so the plan was that I was going to go over my plans, show you my drawings for the new macro platform. I'm having to make one. I wasn't planning on making one again this soon, but a lot has changed. I mean, with the move, I lost a lot of important parts and pieces, and bits were broken and mangled. And by the time I had everything out and ready to put back up, I recognized it really wasn't worth it. I really had been building on layers of junk, basically, to keep the platform rolling along. And I just think it's time that I've got probably the best focus stacking arrangement that there is, with a linear bearing mounted cross, what do you call it? It's one of those things. Yeah, it's one of those. An outrigger is what I call it. My rail drives this platform that's on linear rails, linear bearings, so there's no twist in it. It's very flat, very stable. It's the best possible way to stack, I think, certainly at lower magnifications, and probably higher as well. It's just easy to use, and it really needs a custom built platform for it, because it's very wide, and trying to make it work with my old fashioned approach of using just a single rail, it just wasn't working. So I'm redoing it and rethinking it, and I've been going through every aspect of it, breaking it down, thinking about what worked, what didn't work, what I wanted to change. It started out with materials, because I want to be able to go from vertical to horizontal quickly and effectively. I don't have enough space to have two separate platforms, but I do have enough ingenuity and interest in it to come up with one platform that can switch backwards and forwards. That can be vertical, horizontal, with the flip of a switch, or a tipping of a hinge somewhere. I'm working on it, and I'll come up with something. But first and foremost, I need to start shooting again. I need to get back to work. It's been much too long, but I refuse to let my impatience dictate what kind of rig I end up with. For the first time in my life, I have the best of the best. I have the best rail. I have the best stacking software. I have the best processing software. I have the best stacking platform, base thing to work from. All I need to do is bring it all together in a way that is going to work for me and my workflow. I work a lot of hours. I mean, I'm constantly working. When I have the platform up and running, it's going non-stop. So I need something durable. I looked at all kinds of different approaches to material. I've always liked aluminum. Aluminum's easy to work with. It's relatively light, but it's very rigid and stable. It's terribly easy to work with. The new extrusions, well, they're not new, are they? The extrusion products that are out there, very easy for a non-engineer to work with. And the more I thought about it, the more I wanted to incorporate a lot of the other work that I've been doing in motion control and positioning systems, as well as some creative lighting solutions. And I thought the best way to do that would be using some of the bigger, sturdier chunks of aluminum extrusion. Particularly, one that I've been looking at a lot is the C extrusion that Open Builds makes. It's an 80-20 with a couple of 2040s attached to the side, so it looks like a lying down C, and it's very rigid. It has no torsion liability because of the uprights. It's just a very solid, rigid piece of aluminum. And I've been thinking about making a central carriageway with this inverted C extrusion. Imagine a valley made of aluminum straight down the middle of my table, and the linear table would be mounted on top of the two edges of that. That's where the bearings would be. So I'd have my rail would drive it from the side, but the extrusion would carry on to my platform for my subject, which, you know, I shoot a lot of different subjects, and they don't always lend themselves to being dead in front of the camera, or you know, in various distances. Depends on the lens I'm using, depends on the lighting, the effect, the background, what I'm trying to do. I want more flexibility in depth is what I'm trying to say, rather poorly. And for that, I figured the easiest way would be to just have that extrusion continue all the way and put another platform, a mobile gantry is what they call it, on the C extrusion at the specimen end, so that everything was kept absolutely in line and you weren't having to guess at that intermediate bit between the camera part and the subject part. I bought a lab lifter thing that I can't hardly lift. It's a solid block of aluminum. It's about this big. It's ginormous, but it's very stable, and I think it's going to be a big asset. I don't know if even the gantries that they make for this C extrusion are strong enough to hold it. Well, I'm sure they're strong enough to hold it, but without it setting up vibrations and that type of thing. So I've got lots of work to do. I have a piece of quartz that I have donated. I didn't donate it. It was donated to me by a listener in Florida, and I need to get that somehow. And when I do, that's going to form the base for this whole extravagant solution. So it's a lot that's going on, and I was not ready to go through that just yet today. It was supposed to be an opportunity to talk about the decisions. Why the quartz? Why the C channel? Why the heavier duty lighting gantry that I've come up with? I'm not ready to talk about it because I'm not ready to show it to you, and I'm not ready to build it, and my plans aren't even finished. But there are a couple of developments that are worth mentioning. First of all, I got in touch with Open Builds. Open Builds is a company that caters to the CNC DIY crowd, the folks that make their own computer number-based, what do you call it? I'm not doing well with words today. The router thing that, you know, on a table that your computer runs. It cuts stuff out of wood. You know what I'm talking about. CNC. Well, that machining all requires a good, sturdy, accurate framework. And that's where Open Builds comes in. They've been doing this for people who build CNC machines and all kinds of other homemade machining solutions, as well as cutting solutions and all kinds of other things. They very recently actually got into photography, and on their website they have a rig that they're working with now. But it's all very interesting. But I decided that these guys, it's an American company. They're very much respected and liked. I don't like them or respect them because they didn't answer my email, but I do like their product. So I'm going to use them. I'm going to use them for all of the hardware for the superstructure that I'm going to build. And so I wanted to talk to them about maybe working with me, but like I say, I didn't actually get to talk to them. But I did apply for an affiliate relationship with them, and they accepted that. So that's wonderful. So from that standpoint, I think it's the best stuff out there, and that's why I want to use it. But I will be from time to time giving you links to go over there and see the stuff that I'm using. You might want to go over there and look at the C-channel aluminum that I was talking about, and there's a link in the blog post that I did just yesterday. I say yesterday, it could have been 4 days ago, I can't remember. It's been a blur. I know it was 4 o'clock in the morning when I posted it, after having to rewrite it when it disappeared right at the end in one of those Squarespace moments. But anyway, somewhere in that is a link to Open Builds, and yeah, every now and again I'll put shopping links. They don't have a vast inventory of building stuff that would interest us necessarily as photographers, but they have enough that it would be the key stuff that we would want. So yeah, when that comes along and I think you need to know about it, I'll let you know, and I'll get some kind of a reward for finding you if you buy anything. Same as with the Amazon thing and the B&H thing. So it's all good. Let's move on for a minute. We're going to circle back around to the platform because it's going to come up again and again. But I wanted to talk about something else that I've been working on that I had just it's been incredibly frustrating, and I had a huge breakthrough this afternoon, so I want to share that with you. I have been building a microscope focus block for a friend of mine. I haven't been building the microscope focus block, I've actually been destroying it. I took apart a microscope, an Olympus BH2, to harvest the focus mechanism, which is what is called the focus block, which is really the fine focus and the coarse focus and the structure that it sits in, to use as an automated focusing rail capable of much, much shorter distances than a standard off-the-shelf rail can accomplish. Your stack shot can take 1 micron steps. The Novaflex rail can do smaller steps, though how accurate they are, I'm not exactly sure. It's debatable. The Wii Macro can take steps of less than a micron, but not much less. And what this person wanted, this is Bill, of course. He used to be the chairman of my board of directors, but Bill wanted this focus block because he uses a lot of higher magnification, and he wanted to be able to do some stacking where he was taking steps of 1/10 of a micron and less. So to do that, you really need something that has the gearing mechanism of a lab quality microscope that would allow you to do that. The problem is automating it and then creating a mechanical linkage that will work. Well, I did all that, and I've had the block finished for over a month, but with time constraints and everything else, it's taken me a good long while to get everything 3D printed and assembled. I'll show it to you instead of just looking at it and talking about it. I'll show you. I've got an overhead that's not very good, and I don't know why. It's just, oh, it's upside down. That's the problem. But you can see that this is the whole thing, and it's actually set up on the board that I prepared for it. It just fits on the board, but that's the idea. This, in its current configuration, is its testing position. I use this to test focus blocks because I want my camera to move side to side, not forward and backward. It's very hard to tell if your camera is moving tiny distances forward and backward, but if you point it at something, you can see right away when it's moving side to side. So I'll show you very quickly what it consists of. This is the part of the microscope. This is where the eyepieces would be coming off back here, but yeah, that's sawn off. I cut that off with a hacksaw. this is the focus block, the fine focus, the coarse focus, right there. And this is an assembly that I designed and 3D printed and have bolted to the focus block. The camera, of course, sits on here along with your extension tubes, your microscope objective, whatever you're using. Where it gets interesting is over here. This is a fine stepping motor. It's just a standard NEMA 17, but it takes 400 steps in a revolution instead of 200, and it's driven in this case by a Wii Macro controller. And this was where the problem started for me, because number one, I had to figure out a workaround for installing the software for the Wii Macro onto a Mac computer, and I'm going to show you how to do that this evening, so you'll have that if you ever want to do it. It is much easier to use this device, the Wii Macro device, tethered, and I had it tethered to my old laptop, but a lot has changed with Apple security, and getting this to talk to the computer was a problem, but I'll show you how I did it. This controls the motor, and the motor does exactly what it would do in the Wii Macro focus stacking rig that is made for microscopes, as it does here. The difference is, inside this barrel, this 3D printed wheel that I made, is a rubber grommet that grasps a hold of the fine focus knob, and when the motor turns, so does the fine focus. But the thing is, inside the coarse focus, the coarse focus knob on the right hand side of the microscope, is a set of gears that reduce the rotational movement of this driving gear by well, I can't remember the exact number, but it's a huge number, meaning that every time the Wii Macro thinks it's telling the motor to move what would be a rail 1 micron, it's actually moving the microscope platform 1/10 of a micron or thereabouts. The numbers work out a little differently, but it's on the order of an order of magnitude finer. And I could not get this thing to work for the life of me. Every time I hooked it up and got the Wii Macro program running, I got just a terrible vibration out of the motor. It would get hot, and I was using stock material here, so it never really occurred to me that this could be a polarity issue with the motor until I took apart, and I'm going to get in a lot of trouble from William for this, but I took apart my macro rail, my Wii Macro, in order to, I'll switch back to the other camera here, in order to figure out exactly how they had these things wired, because it occurred to me that it wasn't standard. These motors are not hooked up the way you would normally use an aviation 4-pin plug to hook up a stepper motor, where you would have pins 1 and 4 and pins 2 and 3 being pairs. That's what I had assumed it would be. I mean, everything else I've ever looked at was. So that's the way I had this thing hooked up, because I made my own connector for it. Are you confused and bored? This won't take much longer, I promise. But I had to reassign the wires a little bit. But when I actually switched it to the way that the Wii Macro was pairing with the rail, all of a sudden everything worked. And I want to show that to you just so that you can see. I've got a Wii Macro stack set up at large enough steps for you to be able to easily see on the camera. So all I'll do is turn on the controller, and I'm going to let you see my screen for just a second, if you promise not to read anything on the screen except what I'm showing you. Right. Okay, so this is the Wii Macro controller that I downloaded and got working on on the Mac eventually. And all you have to do is really connect it. Once it's up and running, it recognizes the controller when you plug it in, and you do your settings just like you would do on your phone if you were using the Bluetooth version of the app. And for this demonstration, I'm just setting a distance of 1 millimeter and 205 micron steps, just for the heck of it. And I'm going to have it beep and return when it's finished. And because of the fact that we're mounted across the way to be able to see motion, normally I would have my camera turned on and focused on something so that I could see if it moved or not and if it moved in the right direction. So that's all there is to it. You have to save your settings, otherwise it won't initialize the controller. And then I just go to run, and I've got the Wii Macro controller also hooked up to my camera, which is now turned on, which is kind of important. That's turned on. The motor's getting juice. You can feel it. It's a little bit warm, but nothing too bad. And then you press run, and it will now, if it doesn't look to you like it's moving very far, it's only 5 microns, but it is absolutely doing the deal. Now, you're not going to see the camera move because of that gearing I was telling you about. But if you look at the, can you see the, no, you can't, because we're not looking at the right thing. Sorry. You can't see the camera move, I'm sure, but if you look right here, let me give you a zoomed look on that. Well, actually, I don't think I can. No, I can't. But this is rotating. I could probably get the phone down there. Let's try that. Well, you might just have to take my word for it, but it is running. Oh, that was nauseating, wasn't it? That turning around thing. Oh, it looks like it's getting ready to fall. Something is, doesn't it? Oh well. It's just more excitement in an excitement-filled week. But anyway, it's working. This is going to be shipped out to Bill this week, finally, and I'm so grateful to him for letting me do this because it's been a lot of fun and a lot to learn about how all this stuff works. The build is not difficult. It really isn't. I'm going to turn that off. That was the beep signifying it was off. I'm going to turn the controller off, turn my camera off, and yeah. So we're in business. We've got a very reliable, functional, fine focus stacking arrangement that I think is going to serve Bill well. And I have a couple more folks who are waiting on them, so I'll be doing a couple of them in the coming up weeks, and I'm going to record that process so that if you want to do one, I'll show you exactly what you need to do. And now, as I've figured out that Wii Macro wires the motors differently, I'll know next time, and I won't have to go through that. I was doing a lot of soldering in a hurry this afternoon to get all that put together, but I'm so relieved that it works. I also had a breakthrough on another project that I have talked about because it's frustrating to me that I say it's overdue. I'm not sure I ever promised a date, but probably I did. I'm bad about that. But it's the cross-polarizing device that I'm very excited about because I'm also ready to get back into doing some cross-polarization crystal photography. But the problem was a very simple one. I came up with what I thought was a pretty elegant design, and I'm not ready for this because I didn't pull the parts out, but I'll do it right now. The base of the thing is dead simple. It's an LED panel that's driven by a USB 5-volt input. That's it. You plug it in, the light comes on, and it's bright as the sun. Do I have a USB cable of the right type? I don't. But yeah, I've got a... Oh no, I do. I do. This is when things can get a little bit dangerous because I haven't thought this through. Let's see. Yeah, that's bright. So that's the base, and it works beautifully just with a 12-volt a power supply that I'll include. If you get one of these, I mean, I'm not selling them, I'm giving them away, but if you get one of them, I'll give you a power supply with it. That's the base, and I'm turning that light off because that is blindingly bright. Above this is a little thing that holds a diffuser, and it's a nice diffuser that diffuses all the light so that it looks like a uniform wall of light at the top of the base. Then above that there are 4 things that I call drawers. Not drawers as in trousers, drawers as in these things, because they look a little bit like drawers. There are 4 of these stacked one on top of the other, and these cassettes go into the drawers like so. They fit exactly, but they turn freely when they're in there with your finger. But obviously, if you don't have a way to hold them in, and when it's all stacked, there'll be 4 of them like this on top of one another, and you can rotate them, which you need to be able to do, because one of these is for a polarizer, one is for the specimen, one is for a retarder plate if you want to use it, and then the top one is for another polarizer. So you need to be able to rotate them for the effects that you're looking for. And this whole thing had a pin through it, so it would act as a hinge, and it had screws in the corners to hold it all together, and then a pin for a hinge for the doors. And this is the problem, the doors that fit into the edge of the drawer like so. So here's the problem for you engineers. We needed to be able to open this so that we could insert the cassette, in this case a specimen cassette in yellow, and then close the door and have the door close positively, become locked in that position, so that we could throw the thing around, move it, go to the microscope, go to the camera, and of course this would have another one of these on top, so nothing would fall out the front. I couldn't get these doors to stay shut, and I tried springs, and I tried levers, and I tried magnets. In fact, this is one of my magnet attempts, where I embedded magnets in both parts, hoping that as it got in proximity it would snap shut. Well, it did. If you were an ant, possibly you'd have had trouble opening it, but anybody else, yeah, it would just fall open on its own. Nothing I worked would do it. Rick came up with a brilliant idea of using using a what do you call that thing that you get in a light switch, a toggle, something that would prefer to be in one position or another position, but not in the middle. That's a toggle, like a light switch. And to make that work, I bought these tiny little thingamajigs that they're a ball and a spring that go in like your pantry doors, so that when you shut the door it shuts, but not very hard, so you can open it easily. Well, I didn't realize they made those little locky things that small, but they do. That's one of them there. Beautiful idea. Doesn't work. They're too small. It didn't hold the thing shut. Probably my 3D printing skills left something to be desired. Maybe it was the material. I came up with the idea 2 days ago, and I haven't had a minute, not a minute, to draw it yet to show you, but I'm going to describe it because you're all clever, you'll understand this. I was sitting here at this desk in my thinking pose like this, clicking my pen to irritate myself so I'd have positive thoughts. And that's when it occurred to me. There's a mechanism inside a ballpoint pen. A lot of them, I mean, some of them use different mechanisms, but basically it's a shaft and a spring that work together to keep the shaft in a preferred position. That's basically all it is. And it occurred to me I could do exactly the same thing with each of these layers. If instead of having a uniform shaft all the way down through all of the doors so that all those little swingy doors could open, if I made half of the length within each of the drawers with a flange on it and the rest perfectly round, then mounted a spring at the bottom so that the bottom of the axle would have to be depressed against a spring. When you do that, it opens up all of the drawers because it moves the interfering flanges to an open space, and then the doors can open. And then when you release the springy button, it pops back into place and locks the doors. It's so elegant and it's so doable, and it's easy to modify this because I've got so much room in there. So I'll just build a barrel-shaped tube in there, mount a spring in it, and use this. It looks like a camshaft, the one I sketched, but I'm absolutely sure it will work, and I cannot wait to build it and put it together and try it out. But as soon as that's done, I'll be able to knock out the 5 of these that people are waiting for, and then I'll start seeing if anybody else wants one. But they're going to be so nice because they'll be compact and well held together. They won't flop open. The stuff won't fall out. The other invention, I hate using that word because I know that none of this is invented, but it's just copied from other people's work. Though I don't know where I got any of these ideas from. This idea, I definitely don't know where it came from. It's I've showed this to you before, but at the risk of boring you, I'm going to show you one more time because it's so exciting. I made this thing to hold either regular slides, 75 by 25 horizontally there, or big slides like I use for my crystals, which is 50 by 75. But I needed a way to put the slide in the cassette without having to print 2 rings and have all kinds of fancy stuff. I just put little tiny dots of print material right on the edge. You might be able to see them, 3 of them on each end. And it turns out that if you just rest the slide behind those dots at the bottom and then squeeze it just a tiny little bit with your fingers side to side, it holds the slide in. And you can throw this around like a frisbee and the slide doesn't come out until you squeeze the sides again. And it works with both sizes of slide. So you could do your crystals upside down if you wanted them to be growing in a particular way or the right way up. That was I was excited about because this was an accident. I didn't plan this. Of course, I shouldn't have said that, should I? But then when you're through with it, you just squeeze it again and it pops out. It's like a magic trick. So we're very close to having this thing ready to go, and this will be a big win because it's something that is entirely out of my own head. I want to tell you about something that happened this week that was potentially an absolute all-out disaster, and it wasn't by I don't know why. I don't know how I got away with it, but I shouldn't have done. I was at this desk, again, I live at this desk, and I was working away, and I was busy and not thinking, and I reached for something and threw a full mug of hot coffee, one of those metal cups actually, insulated, boiling hot coffee with that Italian sweet cream in it. That's the stickiest substance besides superglue on the planet, and every ounce of it splashed onto my computer, my MacBook Pro, It's a $4,000 computer that I finished paying for about a week ago. The warranty ran out on it a week ago as well, and this coffee went everywhere on it, everywhere. It filled my drawer with coffee too after it ran off the desk. So after I just mopped up what I could and grabbed rags and wiped and mopped and wiped and mopped and got as much of the coffee off as I could, I had to deal with the fact that all of this coffee had gone underneath the keys and underneath the trackpad, which are the two most delicate parts of the interface of the computer that just don't take that kind of insult. And I was aware of the fact that if I was going to salvage this computer, I had to get all of the coffee out of the computer while it was liquid. If any of it stayed behind, even a little bit, it would turn into glue. And I was panicking. I thought of a bunch of things, and I tried a bunch of things in quick succession, and nothing really worked until I came up with this idea, and I'm going to show it to you because I'm serious. If you have a laptop and if you drink coffee or anything else anywhere near that laptop, you need to have some filter paper on hand for if this happens, because otherwise I don't think I could have salvaged this computer. I use big sheets of filter paper to prepare my insects. I always buy the fast absorbing or medium absorbing kind. It doesn't really matter. But what I do is I keep a bottle of them cut into slivers like this, which I use for combing bees. But I also keep bigger pieces like this. And what I discovered was, let me see if I can grab the phone, bring it, no, let me bring the phone down here and give you an Allen's eye view of what I was dealing with when this happened. So all I had was bits of filter paper, and I started by just going along the edges, and it was really effective at pulling the coffee out. But I could tell that there was coffee welling up everywhere. I needed to get under there more effectively, so I stood the computer up. I put it on a block so that it was about 50 degrees vertical, and then just took pieces of filter paper and worked them like this, side to side, until they were completely under each key. And I did the whole keyboard. And I would wait until the coffee was about halfway across the filter paper in this direction. Then I'd pull them out, throw them away, and start again. I used 2 full packets of small rounds of filter paper. I didn't know I had this large one, and was able in a course of about 2 hours to go through several hundred sheets of this stuff, until when I would put the sheet underneath the space bar and leave it for half an hour, no coffee would seep into it. That, though, was only the beginning of the problems. What I hadn't paid any attention to was the trackpad, and that was a problem because the coffee was underneath there too. I don't know what the anatomy of these things is, but I started just probing around the edges with a piece of paper, and finally was able, and I'm going to have to cut one of these into the shape I was using. If you have a sharp enough edge, you can work it side to side ever so gently and slide it back and forth, and you can actually get about an inch underneath the trackpad. And boy, the coffee just came boiling up out of here. And I did this all day until this filter paper there. That's the way I was doing it. You could tell it was working because I put it in like this, and within about a minute it was like this. What was that just popped up on screen? Oh, it's the other. I think I just changed the I did, didn't I? That was weird. Oh, it's not changing back either. I think I may have inadvertently pressed the wrong button, but you get the idea. It took hours and hours of doing this and going over, and you can see how far in the paper goes. But by the time I was through yesterday evening, there was no more coffee, and not one of the keys on my laptop sticks or feels any different than it normally does. I'm a little concerned about the responsiveness of the trackpad. It doesn't have that strongly haptic feedback that I'm used to. Maybe that's just something I changed in the panic of it all. But I'm dead serious. If you do something dangerous like drink coffee at a laptop, and you don't have a way to just immediately get that thing dry in the case of a catastrophic spill, that's $4,000 you're going to be tossing out the window. By the way, I also, at the very, very end, thought to use a little bit of compressed air, which I gently sprayed above the top crack of the keys, and it did, in a few places, stir up a little bit more residual coffee came out. So maybe you used that earlier, I don't know. I was afraid of forcing coffee down into something through a rubber seal, so I was very cautious about that. But it worked, and I wrote an article about it in my blog post as a jokey thing, but it wasn't funny. And I'm not joking now in telling you about it, because I really think it's something that you should bear in mind and have in the back of your mind in the event of a catastrophe like that. And that is a catastrophe. All my work is in there. Yeah, I bought a new hard drive last week, a 22 terabyte desktop hard drive. That now makes 9. The smallest of which is 8 terabytes, the largest is now 22. I don't know how many terabytes that is, but the 22 terabyte one's already starting to show evidence of having stuff in it. So it'll be full within a week, I'm sure, when I get my platform built. So somebody was talking at the very beginning, I noticed in the chat, that a comment was made about the music. Nobody has, at least as far as I can tell, nobody has thanked me for not playing Sweet Young Thang today. But I didn't, so there's that. But if you like this Jules Gaia, he's a really cool musician. He's from here. He's American, and he's a what do you call it? The same kind of worker I am. I can't remember what the term is for it, but where you work and get paid a little bit, and then you move on and get another one. That's what this is like. Shift worker. No, that's not it. Anyway, that's what he does. He only gets paid when people buy his music or subscribe to Epidemic Sound. If you use music for anything, if you use it for your civic group, or if you use it to make videos or anything like that, and you want the royalty-free music that's really unique, that is written just for this purpose, go over and check Epidemic Sound. I don't have a relationship with those people, but I've used them now for 6 years, and I've never had a complaint with them, not one. And I absolutely love this Jules Gaia fella. He's a bit of a genius musically. I love his stuff, and he never puts out a song I don't like, and I use a bunch of them. So anyway, that just needed to be mentioned. The interview with Lester this morning was just a treat and a delight and an absolute pleasure. Lester Lefkowitz is they threw away the mold, I think, when they cast this guy. There's nobody like him that I think I've ever met. He's a Renaissance man and a photographer's photographer. He does all the kinds of stuff that we wish we had thought of to do. He'd be approached by some big important company wanting him to take pictures of a nuclear reactor, and they'd ask him if he knew what he was doing, and he'd say of course he knew what he was doing, and then he'd go read books on it to find out what he was actually doing. And he did this throughout his whole career, and the result was he's taken pictures of just about everything for just about everybody, from super tankers to iron furnaces to hospital operating rooms, to just you name it, he's done it. And he is the most creative guy. He's also funny and irreverent, and clearly speaks and gets his points across succinctly. He runs through his slides like a madman, and I was just in awe of the guy. He is a master at his trade, and I love his books. His books are great, and I don't think anybody who is into close-up photography is going to look at these books and have much to say negative about them. They are so thorough and detailed and beautifully illustrated. Not everything that he does is to my taste. Why would it be? How could it be? But the book is beautifully done, and just a great reference to have. The second book that I'm going to be interviewing him about in another month is the one that's a little bit more up a lot of you guys' alleys. The higher magnification stuff. But both of these books are now reprinted. The reason we stopped the plans for going ahead with the interview was just talking about him and showing you guys the books. He sold out of all his books. He didn't have any books to sell, and it seemed like not a good idea to go on a book tour with me if he didn't have any books to sell. Now he's got some books. If you want one and you live in America, or you want two and you live in America, just go to his website. It's an Amazon website. It's called The Macro Photographer, or Macro Photographer, one of those two. I should look it up, because that would not be a good thing for me to do, give you the wrong address. It's themacrophotographer.net. I don't know if there's a "the" there or not, but try it with and without. But it's macrophotographer.net. Then you can order the book. Amazon will get in touch with Lester. Lester will send it to you. Now, I asked him this morning, because I bought a book for my brother, and I had the author sign the book because he's a famous bass guitarist, and he did. He signed the book for my brother, but he wanted money for it. And I was fine with that. It was worth it to see my brother, his face light up. So I had him sign the book. And I asked Lester today, before we did our interview, I said, would you sign a book if somebody wanted the book signed? And he pointed out that he signs a card that's in every book, but if somebody wanted him to sign the book, he would sign the book. All you have to do is, if you order the book, send him an email through the website there, and he will sign it, and he'll put a dedication in it if you want him to Aunt Molly from Leicester. Whatever you want, just tell him, and he'll do it, and he'll do it for free. And I tried to talk him into doing it for money. I don't know why. I kind of like the fact that he does it for free, but he will do it for free. He won't charge you. And those books are now available. If you're living in Europe, and I give several examples of parts of Europe that you might be living in. Read the article. I thought it was hysterical, but it was 3 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, if you live in Europe, you have to go to eBay to get it. But if you just search Lester Lefkowitz on eBay, it'll take you straight to it. I've also put the link in my... it's not in the program notes for this video that will become a video, but it is in my blog article, and that is linked through the show notes. Whew. Get the books. You will love them. You need them. Every macro photographer needs them. They're going to be the standard for the next 10 years. On Thursday, I don't know what I'm going to be doing. Probably something similar to this. making it up as I go along, and that's okay every once in a while to do that. And on Saturday we have After Stack with Bud Parrott and myself. That's the post-processing discussion. This is going to be a special one. We're talking about the TK panel. If you've never heard of Tony Kuiper, it's an add-on for Photoshop that a lot of serious editors really rave about. It's very, very useful, handy set of tools that works as a layer on top of Photoshop. My friend Bud is an avid fan and user of the program, and he's going to talk about it. Several of our members, several of our participants that come every week also have it and use it and are going to be able to talk about it. There is a chance, no promises because I haven't heard back from him, but I did invite Dave. That will guarantee he won't come now because I've forgotten his name. Dave Kelly, who is an editor and knows everything about this program because he does a weekly YouTube video about it. I asked him if he'd like to come by and just visit and say hi and answer a few questions, and he may. I hope he does, and if he does, that will be a big deal for us. So we'll see. And but you're all welcome. It's free. The invitation is in my blog post, which is on my website, www.alanwallsphotography.com/blog, and then just look for the latest one, and it'll be in there. What am I forgetting to tell you? Nothing. Oh, well, I've still got, I was going by my watch, I've still got 10 minutes left to fill. So let me see what kind of questions we've got. I better get the Wii Macro out of the way. Oh, I told you I was going to tell you the secret. If you have a recent Mac, an M1 or an M2 Mac, and you try to download and install the Wii Macro software from the website that they list, that part will go very well. You'll go from the Wii Macro site, it'll put you over to a thing like the Stack Exchange where the software will be, and you just click on it and download it, and it'll download to your computer just fine. Normally what you would then do is open it and move it to the applications folder. There's usually a fancy way they have you do that. They put it on the screen, you drag it into the folder, and there you go, that's it. And then you just click it to open it, and it will run the DMG file, and it'll get the thing initialized on your computer. Doesn't work with the new Macs. And I went through several contortions trying to change the security settings, but it's not one of those issues. The Mac just gives a notice that says, no, we're not opening this because we can't verify it. So if you want this program on your computer, you need to go talk to the developer and tell them to do this, that, or the other. Well, I figured there was probably an easier way. There is an easier way, and this is it. Don't put the program in your applications folder. Just leave it in the downloads folder where it is, and go to its location, but don't double click on it. Don't open it. Instead, option click on it. That's a 2-finger press. That will open up the contextual menu, a drop-down menu that will be specific for that thing that you clicked on, and in this case it will give you an option that you otherwise wouldn't get just trying to open it with any other technique, and that is the choice on the menu is open, and you just click it and it opens the program, and it runs perfectly well, no problem. It's been running since then. So then you can drag it to the bottom of your screen and have it in your favorites to click on whenever you need it, and it works perfectly, and it does not stop working when you get a phone call. So We Macro, I haven't talked nearly enough about these guys in the last little bit. They make really good stuff, and they make it affordable. Most of what we need to do, we can do with this equipment, and without breaking the bank. I am really impressed with how incredibly fine and accurate the motor is working with a focus block like this. It just gives you a whole new level of detail that you can photograph. I'm looking forward to doing the video series on that, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, that should be coming up before too long. In fact, as soon as I get microscopes from the folks that have allowed me to use theirs for the video, we'll be ready to start. I did have one of those persons sent me a microscope last week, and I wasn't able to use it because it had a broken gear in it. And I talked about that, I think, somewhere, maybe it was at the Pazoom. Yeah, but I have run out of time now. There's a few moments to check messages. I will do that right at this second, as soon as I put my glasses back on properly. I see that try designing a hinge spring clip directly into the shelf. Yep, did that. Tried. New MacBook keyboards are like $20. 20,000, you mean? I don't think they are $20. I mean, can't be. Are they? Did I just waste a day for $20? That would be typical. Yeah, a hinge spring was the first thing I tried. Didn't work. So, you know, I couldn't get it to. The door's too teeny weeny. It didn't have any anywhere to put the thing on. Anyway, this thing's going to work, and it's elegant. Let me see. Please give Alan a thumbs up by tapping the like button. That was Russ speaking up for me, and I appreciate that, Russ. Thank you so much. Robert, glad you made it, my friend. Like the oh yeah, you're not crazy about the technical stuff. I know it's a bit. It's hard to talk about this without talking about the technical stuff a little bit, but I tried to isolate it. I won't bore you with more of this. I think I covered all the technical updates I needed to. I did buy a new multimeter. My old one still works great. It's from Harbor Freight, but I lost the probes for it. I bought this, a very nice one, low profile one from Klein. So far, so good. It works. It beeps a bit loud and a bit too soon, but that we can live with. I said I was going to ask for money, and I've left no time to do so. But if you have any money that you don't need, and a small portion of that could be allocated to somebody who is as entertaining as I am, if you find such a person, if you wouldn't terribly mind, I am going to need a little bit of revenue inflow in order to build out this rig. That is the only thing it will be spent on. So if anybody does feel like doing that, if you go to my website, www.alanwallsphotography.com, there is a thing called donations, one of the tabs. If you just click on that, it'll take your money from you. I mean, you'll have to give it permission, but it will, and then it'll give some of that to me after Squarespace takes a big chunk of it for themselves, for just being nice people, I guess. But that would really help, because this is not going to be cheap. It's not going to be expensive either, but a little bit of help would be great. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Enough said. Now you know that I could use the help. The video of the interview with Lester, somebody's going to want to know, when does that come out? It comes out on, I'd said it was the 9th. It's after the picnic. It's the Tuesday after the picnic, and I said the 9th, but that's the Monday, so it'll be the day of the day of the live stream. So it'll be the 10th. I ought to figure that out and tell Lester what the actual date is. It'll be the 9th or the 10th, and I'll let you know. When it comes out, watch it. I'm going to leave it at the full 2 hours. I'm sorry, but there's just no way I'm cutting any of this guy's stuff either. It's such a treat. It's like the Charlie Krebs interview, only with top-notch video as well, because he videoed himself doing this. So it's a beautiful picture, great sound. You're gonna love it. Don't miss it. And we're out of time, so I'm going to go and break something else. And I'm glad we made it through this hour. I was getting a bit anxious about it. I hope everybody has a good rest of the week. Trying to think, what's the next thing? Thursday, live stream. Saturday, after stack. And then we'll just figure out the rest after that. Thank you so much for coming. I'm sorry I didn't get to say hi to everybody. But I'll say hi to Bud and Amy and Alistair, and then they'll say hi to you, because that's their job. They're bouncers. They'll say hi as you leave. Yeah, read the article I put in the... I was up till 4 o'clock in the morning writing it. You can take 10 minutes to read it. It's not very good, and I didn't check it for spelling mistakes, so maybe you shouldn't read it. And I will see you guys on Thursday. Have a good one. Thank you to my bouncers and everybody else who supports the channel. I do appreciate it. Good night, all. Wow, it was a good crowd here tonight, too. You guys are great. Take care.